Good morning, guys and gals, and welcome to the Honest Tool Reviews channel. Today I have a helpful hint for people who are growing up without fathers. I know I've made a video or two about giving some advice to the younger ones, and I think some of my advice can trickle downstream. It doesn't matter if you're a boy or girl. It doesn't matter if you have no clue what a wrench is or not. Um, but a lot of my videos are tool reviews, and then a lot of them are political, and I'm trying to make a few more of these to be more helpful to the rest of us. So let's get right down and into it. You are looking at this video probably because you looked up misfire on cylinder, and this is one of the videos that you got, and being desperate, not knowing anything about cars, you're trying to figure out what to do. So we're going to break right on into this. A cylinder misfire is when the cylinder has a misfire. Now, a misfire could be everything from fires early, fires late, doesn't fire at all. These things are caused by a number of contributing factors or actual failure. Now, an actual failure could be a crack in the cylinder head, a crack in the block, water in the cylinder. It could be caused by a spark plug absolutely failing. It could be valves not opening and shutting potentially, but they are typically caused by a few things, just a few things. So we're just going to go down the list on two things that you can do. They are options that you can try at home. They're not a always fix, but they're a pretty big portion of the time fix. So what is a spark plug? Well, spark plug, we're going to take a trip. Spark plug is the things that I have that I'm going to be replacing today. And I'm not going to do all of them. I'm just going to do one of them on camera. All of them will be done off camera. And hopefully my fire back there won't get spread with all of this wind. I hit a deer, and that's only made things worse the last day or two. So plenty of work to do, and I just don't really have the time to do all of this on video. Yep, hit that deer pretty something good. Damaged the front headlight as well. I'll be doing a video about replacing the headlight because I have one of those. But for the moment, let's get inside the shop so you can hear me talk. And I'll explain the first thing that I'm going to do, then run you through the reasons why. Okay. Now that you can hear me talk, I'm going to tilt this down just a little bit. And I'm going to set on down and pull them out. For a spark plug, this is a set of 4. These are individual boxes. If you have a V8, you'll probably get 2 boxes like this. You could get 8 of these. Some V8s take 2 per cylinder, so you could end up with 16. There are V10s out there. You have to know what your vehicle is. So, spark plug in the box looks like this. It's typically extremely clean. Okay. I know I immediately touched that. You're not technically supposed to touch those, but that's also old-timey technology. They have been gauged to a specific height, and I will go into good detail on that in a different video. You just need to know nowadays that they are usually pre-gapped, and with the pre-gapping, they're usually almost always perfectly fine. I used to check the gap with every single one of them every single time and absolutely never had to adjust them. So I just completely stopped. If you do run into a situation in which you have to gap them, you could check my gapping video, which will not be done today. And it could be up by the time this one's up. I'm not sure. I never know how long these videos take to upload. But this is a spark plug. The plug goes on this end, and the spark is on this end. And as you see, there's threads. It threads in like a bolt because it kind of is. And it has a nut shape on it. Perfect for one of these. It's not a socket, it's a spark plug socket. And it's a spark plug socket because of the gasket that's inside of it that is proprietarily used to hold the spark plug in with just enough force that you can run it down and finger start it very carefully before using a ratchet. And then you can pull it back off without causing any damage to this. You don't have to wiggle it back and forth and break the ceramic or any of that mess. It just stays. And it works in reverse. You put it on, unscrew it, pull the whole thing out. Very, very helpful to have an actual spark plug socket. If you do not have a spark plug socket, you can try wedging some pieces of paper in here before pushing down into where the socket is. But keep in mind though, a lot of vehicles seem to have the spark plugs in a hole recessed and it's hard to get to them. If you drop the paper in, if you don't get the paper out, when you do get the spark plug out, you run the risk of the paper falling in the hole. You do not want anything to fall into the spark plug hole, ever. You don't want it to damage the threads. You don't want it to get in between the threads. You don't want it to fall in on top of the cylinder head. You don't want grass, dirt, dust, sweat, anything in there. That way you can say that you're confident nothing you did had anything to do with if something bad happens later. There's a big difference between air flowing in and out as you're replacing this and like this getting super hot and mashed all up against the cylinder head, decreasing the volume and the science and all of that inside. It's just not ideal. And trust me, if anything hits this when it comes back up and bends this, it will probably stop functioning altogether because it will no longer have the gap. This little, I'm going to call it a probe for the sake of lack of knowledge, could break off. All of this is covered in ceramic, which could break off. You just don't want to take chances. So let's not do that. You're here today because you have a cylinder misfire and you're looking for answers. Typically, people do tune-ups every so often. It's almost a forgotten art, but it is something that people are supposed to do. And mechanics are usually, well, they're either first to say you don't really need one for lots and lots of miles because they're lazy, or confident in the vehicle's ability. The other hand, they're quite literally going to tell you if you want to keep it running and know that it's running, you're going to want to do your tune-up today or tomorrow, whenever. It looks like my hair is too long on this side, but at the end of the day, it's just where it's sticking up. It's distracting me. I'm sorry if it's distracting you. Now, we're going to change one so you can see what it kind of looks like, but it's really just on a 3.3 V6 sideways motor. The motor's sideways in a Dodge Caravan, an 07 Dodge Caravan. Just new enough to have a bunch of electronics that no one fucking needs, but not new enough that something like this becomes irrelevant or impossible. So if you have an older model vehicle, and by older you can now mean just about anything, you will probably have a spark plug and wire that you can change to see if the cylinder misfire is very simple and cheap to fix. Doing a full tune-up is basically the same thing, but we would be replacing the wires as well. Now, full disclosure, your outcome may vary if this is not the solution. But this is the very first solution that most people will do, most mechanics would do, because it's the cheapest and fastest solution. Okay? So we're going to take a look, and I'm going to step into showing you what we're doing. Okay, got the new spark plug. Okay, a full tune-up for this V6 would be to replace all 6 spark plugs and all 6 spark plug wires. Let's see if I can pause this and flip it. Okay, it won't let me flip it. So I'm going to try to find a place to put y'all. Okay. Gonna have to stop the video and just merge it together later. Okay, so this is the video part 2. It'll be merged together later. I kind of cleaned all of these up with something most mechanics would not like to be used. I used some WD-40 because there was just absolute globs of old grease and dirt just piling up like this. And this is probably not even the same thing. Now this is just some of it. There was a lot more than that, and I cleaned them up on all 3 cylinders because I didn't want any of that to accidentally get knocked into the spark plug hole. Remember that I had mentioned that? Since you're dealing with an older vehicle, you're probably going to have just all kinds of gunk and grime. And I mean, let's see, there's this patch, there's a whole bunch of it in here. There's ways to clean motors, but that's not what today's video is about. And I apologize if the dirt in this motor bothers your OCD or your car hood, but most likely, if you're watching this, you're someone who's growing up without a father and needs a genuine answer, or someone whose husband doesn't do work and you've decided you're going to take matters into your own hands, or, you know, something like that. There's no telling exactly why you're on the channel looking at this. Feel free to let me know. I'd like to know my my viewers a little better. But in this particular instance, this is a spark plug, and this is the spark plug that I have a cylinder misfire on. Well, how do I know this? I used a code scanner, and it said error 304, I believe. I believe it was 304. I can't remember, but the code, the last number was 4, and on the internet, the code was translated to cylinder misfire on cylinder 4. When I looked up the cylinder fire pattern, it said it runs 1, 3, 6, 2, 4, 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, 6, which puts the 4 on the front in the middle. If this is number 4, then cylinder 4 is right here, so this is the spark plug I need to service. You just pull the wire off, and if the plug breaks or falls apart or is dry rotted, I highly suggest go ahead, pay the extra money to get all the wires just in case if you see that kind of thing happening. I am going to be changing these wires, but that is a full tune-up, and I can do that video later because I just don't have time to do all of this and explain it today. We're going to take a 5/8 Duralast socket and put on here, and when I say Duralast, I just mean to imply it is an automotive socket because it's got to be the spark plug socket for me to feel comfortable. Now, I did pre-break this earlier to take a look at it, and we're just going to unwind this right on out, lefty-loosey, righty-tighty, and all of that. As you see, I'm going counterclockwise because I'm removing it. If you're wondering why I had taken it out to look at it before, I did not have the spark plugs at the time. I had checked it like last week. I just wanted to see if maybe, just maybe, it was the spark plug. Oh look, a bit of grime right there as well. It looks like that might have fallen into the cylinder at some point. And look at the brand new one. So we're going to go ahead and put this one in as opposed to the old one. And you can see the quality difference. You know, the darker features look like it's worn and stuff. And it kind of even looks like it might be shaped a little differently. That's because it's probably a different brand. The one I'm putting in is a auto light, but the old one that's just ancient says NGK, and it may have failed. or it could be the wire. But it looks bad, and the act of replacing it can only help if I do it accurately. Now, if I get a bunch of mess in there, then it will be bad. And, you know, so I cleaned it up before I took the spark plug out. Now I'm going to very gently lay this into the hole and turn it very gently to try to see if it can find the threads. You'll know if it's finding the threads because it will start to pull itself in, and it may even get a little extra tension after a minute or two. If you feel it, you know, try to completely stop turning. You would want to back off and very gently try again. You do not want to cross thread it. You would know it's cross threaded when you just can't get it in. I'm telling you, you do not want to do that. That is a level of bull crap that a soccer mom just trying to keep her van going does not want to deal with. That's money, that's time, that's parts, that's tools. So we'll put the new one in and we'll run it down just a little bit. Again, we're trying to avoid using pressure because there is a bit of an issue with pressure when you're putting it on spark plugs. A lot of that, I forget the word that I used already. A lot of the white portion of the spark plug is like ceramic material, and you don't want that to crack or break. So you just want to snug it down, that way it's not going anywhere. And you want to pull this up with the least amount of shaking as possible. Okay. Now if you have a socket that the ball detent doesn't work well and it comes out relatively easy, like you just put it on and you turn it upside down and it falls off, do not use them on something like this if that spark plug is in the darkness down in a hole, because once you've turned this upside down it all falls in and just good luck getting it back out. So you want to use an actual good condition set of tools for this. Yes, mine is painted. I painted it for working with it at work. If someone had something yellow, I instinctively could see it from across the room and I knew it was mine. And that's why my tools were yellow while I had them at work. Now I don't, so I don't need them anymore to be yellow, but they're still yellow and that's okay. Okay, now I'm just putting the new wire on, just like this. Just kind of wiggle it a little bit. You can kind of feel that it's connected. Give it a little tug, it doesn't come back off. Now the other end of these plugs, if you change the plug, you would take this wire, run your finger all the way up, see that it's the one in the middle, grab that, follow it, and you would unplug it here. Just like that. I wouldn't tell you to do anything that I wouldn't do. And then you just put the new one on just like this. I will do a video with the actual how-to on a tune-up in the future. But basically, just warning you now, only take one wire off at the time and find the hose or wire that is the exact or extremely similar size to put back on from spark plug to wire. Replace one at a time, and when you get to the back there, you follow them all the way down and you replace those spark plugs as well. If that is the very first spark plug you do and it's back here in the back, like if you are new and that's why you're looking at this video, I highly suggest to get to these. You do these first to kind of practice. They're easier, they're, you know, simpler. And once you've done these three, then hopefully you're ready for the hard stuff. If you manage to mess up any one of these, you don't want to go back there and you're not going to be able to drive it. But there's no point in getting these three good if you're going to screw one of those up in the process. So just be careful. It's a very, very simple thing, but people do screw them up. So it's just a simple socket. I think if you go to places like AutoZone, you can ask them what size it requires before buying one. That's just some advice in case you don't have a tool set like mine where you have 3 things full of tools and then you know, containers full of well, fluids. So keep in mind that I said to ask them before you buy them, because here's like a smaller plug, and although it'll pick it up, it won't hold the socket and tighten it. So it would only be good if like this one wouldn't pick something up because the gasket's fallen out, but you could reach in and kind of pull the spark plug out with this, but it wouldn't help you get another one back in. So there's that, and then this, and then I have these two. Yeah, these are both 3/16. This is a 5/8, and then this one is 9/16. And again, they have a little black gasket inside of them that makes them very helpful for reaching those the spark plugs and pulling them back out, maintaining control of the part, I guess. We have other regular ones. This is a 5/8 as well. It does not have the exterior bolt piece. These are just really handy in case you have tight space in that area. You can get like a regular wrench or even one of these and put on to kind of get rid of all that space, because I mean, you lose so much space with one of these sockets, so you can actually fit both of these on here, and you can even wrench faster like that. But the whole purpose here is to kind of get rid of all this extra extra mass. That's just one of the purposes of having one of those, and it's not hateful. These things are actually really useful. And so not having it on this is kind of sad, but this has got a bigger square, bigger square for the socket. You use a bigger wrench on this, I guess, if it's really tight. This one's actually smaller than this one. So I don't know where I got this one from. I can't necessarily say. But most of the time you'll use one of those 3 sizes. And because of that, you're going to want to just say, hey, can we match this up with a socket? And if it's not written on it, which it should probably be, I mean, I don't see it written on mine anywhere. It's just advertising for NASCAR. Yeah, these are just advertising for NASCAR right this second. I'm not interested in NASCAR no more. So I would have them pick one out for you. And the way I do things, typically if I'm doing a full tune-up, is every time I take one out, I pull the flap inside out so that I can see into it. And I put the used one in, spark plug out, and I sit it down so I can help count down how many I've done. And since I'm going from left to right and then from front to back, if I do forget or have to run to the bathroom or take a phone call, I can come back and go, okay, I've done one, and I do left to right, so that means I'm working on the cylinder in the middle next. Now that's not what I've done right now, but I have a video showing me which one I've just done, so I can proceed to finish with the rest of this and get on with my life. I just hope that this was helpful. It's not a very big thing. A lot of mechanic guys are probably rolling their eyes, but if you don't know, you don't know. And when you don't know, if no one tells you, you will not know. So hopefully this was helpful. If it was, please let me know in the comments below. If you did it and something went horribly wrong and you've learnt something from it, please let us know what that was in the comments below. But please understand that all I'm doing is telling you the exact protocol for removing a spark plug and telling you about how the wires get taken off as well. None of that is my personal information or choice or realization. That's exactly how a tune-up is done. It's not legal advice. It's not professional advice. It is the thing. A lot of people, if you sit them down and ask them how to do a spark plug change or a cylinder misfire, this is the information that they would give you if they assumed you knew nothing. And if they didn't want to answer you, it'd be more like, or nah, or I don't have time for that, or some other bullshit. But this is the answer. There's no alternative answer for replacing a spark plug. There's no hammers. You don't whack it in. You don't shove it in with all of your might, and you don't jiggle the crap out of the wrench to get it on and off of the socket, because you can and will break these. So you go slow, you go carefully, you use the right size wrench, you use the right tool for the job, and you get it done very carefully. That is all there is to it. You did probably see that I used one of these. It's just a spacer, an adapter spacer that helps make space. They do make them in several sizes, and what you need may vary depending on what length you need. I keep a number of them just in case. If there's something just really down in there, having a number of them helps, and having smaller ones that can add up to a bigger one gives you kind of a custom amount in case you need to reach a space but you don't have a lot of room, which kind of sounds like a pain in the ass, and it is a pain in the ass. Kind of a prerequisite to what I was saying earlier, though, if you have a socket that the ball detent is broken on, you can't get it to stay because it's broken. So you can put a spark plug socket on here all day long and, you know, put the spark plug in it and all, but the minute that you turn it upside down, you've lost it in that hole. Okay? So you don't want to use one that's broken for something like that. They work fine on a, you know, on something that you're doing sideways or even upside down, but they're not on there. They're just kind of like a wrench. They're just turning. They're not attached. So you have to be careful. If you've gotten your grandfather's old kit out or something like that, there's a chance that something may not be up to the task. So just check it. The difference is this stays on because this ball detent works. This does not because it does not. And that is not going to help you during this situation. So just be careful and use something that works, or buy something that works, because if you don't, this could be trouble. There is a small jerry rig hack that a number of people would do, and I will very cautiously show you, not because I want you to do it, but because you're probably going to see someone else on the internet do it, or someone in the comments say that they do it and that it doesn't cause any problems. You can, in theory, take a piece of electrical tape or regular tape, something around your house that's slightly gooey and thin, and wrap it around the square of the extender that you're trying to use. And you can find a socket that I'm willing to do this on, because sometimes they get stuck, which is one of the reasons why you don't do this. You can take that, put it on the socket, and let's turn this just a little bit. Okay, you put it right there, get you a little hammer or something. Okay, I beat it in, so now that is on there. It's not coming off. It is, okay. Hey look, it came off actually rather easy. So since this isn't working, and isn't working like it's designed to, doing this can give you an unexpected, hey, it come off rather unexpectedly, or not come off. And if it doesn't come off, you're kind of stuck with that piece. And if for some reason you have one out of those 4 or 6 or 8 or 10 that you need less room to get to it, or you need to change this so that you have one of these here to help you bend to that space, now you can't. So you've made a pretty stubborn, bad judgment call by doing something that you saw someone do on the internet that could potentially put you in a situation. You might have to resort to going and buying a whole nother spark plug and an adapter set. And usually adapter sets come in a set of 3 or something like that. You know, you got little ones, you got big ones, you got these that are really long and they double as a breaker bar. So you gotta just be careful and do it not like I say, but the right way. The way the maintenance books show people to do it is always the best way. So I'm just parroting what they say for people who can't find those books, don't have those books, don't read books. But that's the appropriate way to do this. And hopefully with that, the cylinder code is gone. We'll know because I have 2 of these things, and I'm going to crank it up, run it for a little while. Then I'm going to put the code inspector on it, get another code reading, and delete it, and then see if it comes back in another 100 miles. In the meantime, I'm going to actually do the whole little tune-up, and I'm running out of time, so I hope that y'all have a great day, and as always, stay safe out there. Bye.